Hello everyone, welcome to iExamB. PNB has come out with the SO Specialist Officer vacancies for the Risk Manager and Credit Manager this year. And in this video, we are going to talk about the Risk Manager, what is the professional knowledge aspect, what you should be studying and how you can prepare it. The exam is tentatively scheduled to be held on 12th of June, which leaves you with approximately a month to prepare for this exam. The application window closed for this last week. I hope you all have applied on time and have now put in your energy to the preparation. Before we delve into the what you can prepare, let's have a look at the exam pattern. So the exam pattern consists of reasoning, English and quantitative aptitude of 40 marks each, and which has been categorized as part 1. And then your professional knowledge is your part 2, which has a higher weightage of 100 marks. There will be 50 questions but of 100 marks, so 2 marks each will be allotted here. So part 1 and part 2, what the role here is that part 1 is qualifying in nature. What that means is you need to get the minimum cutoff which will be specified by the bank after the exam for each of these 3 papers. And then part 2, if you qualify for all these 3 papers as per the minimum marks given by the bank, you will your marks for professional knowledge will be checked, which will be the merit based paper. So people higher in the merit in the professional knowledge will be called for the next stage of interview, and in your final selection your marks for the interview and the professional knowledge will be added to get the final score. So professional knowledge is very critical for your selection for this. Yes, but you cannot neglect reasoning, English and quant because you need to qualify these before you can be your professional knowledge paper can be evaluated and checked. So as we know, professional knowledge is very important. Now specifically for risk, what are the areas you should be preparing for? So I will discuss those in detail here in the broad areas. So first and foremost is understanding risk. What is meant by risk and what are the various types and subtypes of risk that exist. For example, the very common or important risk areas, the broader ones that we talk about is the credit risk, which is basically the default risk, that your money that the bank has lent is at risk of not coming back. So your NPAs is basically a very high kind of a credit risk which the banks face. Then there is the market risk, that the market value of your assets goes down, right? So this can be of various forms, again, like your interest rate risk, your price risk is there, the investments that the bank has made, the market risk comes on that, and the interest rate risk that the bank is exposed to because of the difference in what they lend and at what they take deposits. So that risk also comes under the market risk. Then there is the liquidity risk, to be able to meet your short-term liquidity requirements, and then there is the operational risk, the risk because of the systems and processes in place. So these are the broader certain risks that the bank faces. So understanding each and all of them may have their own sub points from which these risks are emanating. So understanding of all these types is important for the exam. The next broad aspect and category which you have to study is about the risk management and measurement. So when we know there are different kinds of risk, the bank should also be able to put in place various systems to manage those risks, to mitigate those risks and also measure, because when you are measuring, only then you will be able to see whether the risk management has actually led to some mitigation or reduction. So first you should be able to analyze risk. That there are various techniques that are used. There is stress testing, sensitivity analysis. So understanding all those methods to be able to analyze risk, and then the measures taken or the measures also given by RBI for the banking sector to check or to keep risk in check is important. So some of the important guidelines relates to the capital adequacy norms which RBI has mandated in consultation and in line with the Basel norms that have which are globally accepted. Then there are various other prudential norms that RBI comes out with in relation to the asset classifications, in relation to provisions, in relation to the exposure limits, the large exposure framework it's known as now, which RBI has come out with, which defines what is the exposure the banks can take to a single entity or to a group entity, and how much it should be against their capital. So all these type of norms becomes another important area for you to prepare. Then even in this area you can also include the various committees and the risk management committee and the risk management system that the banks have to put in place to continuously monitor and measure risk. Then if we talk about into the different aspects, the different types of risk, then understanding those and knowing those is not enough. We also need to delve into each type of major risk that the bank face. Like I said, credit risk is one of the most important. So how we can measure risk and how banks control or mitigate this risk. So banks have the credit scoring models that they use, and there is also a risk rating or the external ratings, both internal and external risk rating mechanisms that banks use. So understanding those, and then the Basel norms, what are the methods that the Basel norms specify for measuring the credit risk and taking that into account for your capital adequacy. That is an important aspect that you should cover. Then moving on to the other types, which is the operational and market risk, and also the liquidity risk you can add here. Again, the same type, we need to be able to measure these risks, how these risks can be managed, operational risk, market risk, liquidity risk, and then a very important committee is there which is known as the ALCO committee, which stands for the Asset Liability Management Committee. So this committee is very important because it ensures that the assets and liabilities of the bank, the assets being the loans and advances majorly and the investments, and liabilities being the deposit base and other kinds of borrowings which the bank has. So how these are managed tenure wise, interest rate risk wise, and how the bank structures to avoid any kind of market and liquidity risk and also operational risk related to these is a very important factor, and this is a very important committee in the bank. So these have to be studied, the guidelines related to it, what falls in their purview, how the measures, what type of measures they take into account is important aspect that needs to be prepared. So these are basically the broader aspects that need to be prepared for the risk manager post at PNB. You can actually practice free mock tests related to the risk manager post at iExamB. These are free. You can go on the iExamB website. When you log into iexamb.com, there's a free mock test section where under the bank SO category you will find the mock test for PNB risk officer, for PNB credit officer also. So they are separately available. You can go and attempt the test to understand the types of questions, the level of questions, and the depth of topics that need to be prepared. If you need any guidance from our end at iExamB, we have launched a course this year where we will be starting the classes from today, May 9th, to cover each of these topics in detail in the live sessions and alongside provide you material to study. So these will be the sessions that will be going on, and we will be timely in this similar fashion providing you material also related to this topic. So over the month of May, through classes and PDFs, we will be providing you in this timely manner the various content for the risk manager preparation. And as I said, the tentative date for the exam is 12th of June. So the content will be provided with the classes in the month of May, and thereafter the revision and practice will be what will be the focus of this. The faculty that will be taking your sessions will be two faculties, both very experienced and knowledgeable in the risk space. First being Mr. Shankar Nagarajan. He is the ex-manager RBI with 30 years of experience in RBI across various departments, so a lot of practical experience in all the regulations of RBI and the banking sector in various departments. And from the last 6 years he has been also teaching in the banking, forex, credit and risk area. So these are the areas he specializes in the overall banking industry. Our second faculty is Ms. Shikha Malhotra. She is the ex-deputy manager of SBI with 10 plus years of experience in the banking and the finance space. She is a financial risk manager holder, FRM holder and CFA level 2 she has cleared. So again a very experienced faculty, both practically and theoretically. She has done specific courses related to risk and has in-depth knowledge about risk profile in the banking space. So these two faculties will be taking the sessions. In addition, of course, for your qualifying papers of QRE, Quant, Reasoning, English, we have our experienced faculty Anshul sir, Karan sir, Yaman sir, Neha ma'am, Manali ma'am, Arunima ma'am, who will be guiding you in addition to the professional knowledge for the overall course. The course will also consist of 5 mock tests for the exam for your practice and preparation. In case you need any more details, you can call on the number given on your screen. Wishing you all the best. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more details in the upcoming sessions.